Continuing from the previous episode 372. Chapter 1301. Ancient Dragon Island. The interior of the spatial crack consisted of a strange tunnel that was filled with a faint silver light. The tunnel extended to an unknown end. Xiao Yan's trio of people were swiftly flying through it. He is indeed worthy of being an ancient void dragon. To be able to build such a long-distance tunnel with just the strength of one person. Some surprise surfaced within Xiao Yan's heart as he studied the spatial tunnel. This ability was something that even an ordinary expert at the peak of the Do Zun class would have difficulty performing. It was likely that only those elite Do Shengs as well as the ancient dragons, whose control over the spatial strength had reached the pinnacle, could do this. He Qing was leading the way with a somewhat grave expression. He did not say much along the way. Both Xiao Yan and Qing Lin could only remain quiet. Xiao Yan's brows were knit. Just what exactly happened to cause He Qing to be this serious? The three of them shuttled through the spatial tunnel for nearly an hour. The uniform silver light in the surroundings caused Xiao Yan to feel a little giddy and dazzled. Just when he was about to shut his eyes and rest a little, He Qing suddenly reduced his speed. Xiao Yan's eyes followed He Qing's as he looked into the distance, only to see that there was a vague silver light circle at the end. Have we arrived? Xiao Yan's attention was braced when he saw the light circle. His speed was raised as he followed close behind He Qing. A moment later, the three of them transformed into three figures of light that charged into the silver circle. Xiao Yan's sight momentarily became blurry after having charged into the light circle. Suddenly, his vision returned. The scene in front of him was no longer filled with that monotonous silver color. A lush green mountain filled his eyes now. Xiao Yan was standing high in the air. He was startled after he processed the land that appeared in front of him. Of course, using the word islands to describe the things in front was likely a little more suitable. The size of this island was extremely spacious. There was a faint silver circular outline in the sky above the island. It formed of a bowl-like shape, wrapping the entire island in it. Xiao Yan studied the light barrier only for him to be stunned because the outside was actually empty space that caused one's heart to feel cold. This island was suspended within empty space. What grandness! Even Xiao Yan involuntarily inhaled a gentle breath of cool air when he realized this. Although the size of the island was no match for the realms that elite Do Shengs created, this place was even more hidden. Even an elite Do Zun would not dare to randomly barge into the realm of emptiness. Creating a resting place in this area was extremely safe. No wonder one seldom heard about any news related to the ancient void dragon in the Central Plains. They were living within the realm of emptiness. Follow me. He Qing looked below him. After which, he waved his hand and took the lead to land on a certain island. Xiao Yan and Qing Lin hurriedly followed behind him. Young Master Xiao Yan, the aura here is really frightening. Qing Lin, who was following beside Xiao Yan, softly made a comment. Xiao Yan nodded in agreement. He could vaguely sense that there were quite a number of powerful as well as hidden auras that existed around this dragon island. It seemed that they were the experts from the ancient void dragon tribe. This kind of discovery caused him to feel a little speechless. It was indeed worthy of being the peak existence within the magical beast world. It was the first time that he had sensed so many powerful auras. Moreover, he couldn't even classify these auras. He believed that there were definitely some auras that even he was unable to sense on this ancient dragon island. They were truly frightening existences. The two of them followed He Qing toward a mountain in the middle of the island. Along the way, they met a couple of figures that appeared to be patrolling. When these figures saw He Qing, they stopped moving and swept their surprised eyes over Xiao Yan and Qing Lin before withdrawing. The trio slowly landed on top of the large mountain. The three of them had just landed when a white-robed figure quietly appeared in front of the three of them. He Qing greets Third Elder. He Qing cupped his hands the moment he saw the white-robed elder in front of him. He pointed at Xiao Yan and said, "This is Zi Yan's friend, Xiao Yan. KK, please do not blame us for being reckless by calling young friend Xiao Yan over with such haste." The white-robed old man smiled as he spoke to Xiao Yan upon hearing He Qing's words. "This is Third Elder, Zhu Li. Elder Zhu Li is too polite. Zi Yan is my friend. I will naturally hurry over if she is in any trouble." Although the old man in front reveals a friendly and warm face, Xiao Yan did not dare to slight him. Xiao Yan could sense an incomparable pressure emanating from the old man's body. This kind of pressure appeared to influence his soul. If his spiritual strength wasn't strong to begin with, he probably would not even be able to say anything. This elder Zhu Li is likely an expert that has reached the peak of the Do Zun class. He might even have reached the Ban Sheng level like teacher. The ancient Void Dragon tribe is indeed filled with many hidden experts. Xiao Yan quietly spoke to himself in his heart. The corner of his eyes involuntarily twitched when he sensed this pressure. Elder Zhu Li smiled. He fondled his snow-white beard. His calm eyes suddenly landed on Qing Lin behind Xiao Yan, and he was immediately startled. He said with some surprise, "This is triple jade green snake flower pupils? This scent, it is actually the ancient heaven serpent?" The surprise in Elder Zhu Li's voice had become much denser when he finished speaking. He seemed uncertain. It is unexpected that there is an ancient heaven serpent's soul still existing in this world. Qing Lin carefully glanced at Elder Zhu Li in front of her. She softly made a sound of acknowledgement. The ancient heaven serpent was rumored to have fought with the ancient void dragons during ancient times. Now that the two species had met again, the ancient heaven serpent's soul within her body fluctuated a little unusually. However, it was fortunate that she was able to suppress it. Although an ancient heaven serpent was strong, this was the territory of the ancient void dragons. If that fellow was allowed to come out, it was likely that it would be beaten into a pulp by the many ancient void dragons here. KK, young lady, there is no need to be afraid. The ancient heaven serpent tribe has already ceased to exist. Those grudges from the ancient times were settled a long time ago. However, the ancient heaven serpent soul is naturally ferocious and difficult to control. You should be careful. Do not allow yourself to be controlled by it. Zhu Li laughed. Yes. Qing Lin tilted her head. With the triple jade green snake flower pupils, she was not afraid the heaven serpent soul retaliating. Elder Zhu Li, may I know what exactly has happened to Zi Yan? Xiao Yan hesitated for a moment before he involuntarily asked. Zhu Li became quiet upon hearing the question. A moment later, he softly sighed and said, "It is all because of that dragon phoenix origin fruit." Xiao Yan's heart tightened. He quietly uttered, as expected. While he was traveling here, he had guessed that this matter would likely be related to the dragon phoenix origin fruit that they had obtained from the ancient remains back then. It was unexpected that he had guessed correctly. Zi Yan is part of the royal bloodline of our ancient void dragon tribe. Her father was the king of my ancient void dragons back then. He had suddenly gone missing and Zi Yan had gone missing with him. She was only sensed by us when she arrived in the Central Plains a couple of years ago. Speaking of this, it is all thanks to you. Missing? Xiao Yan was slightly startled when he heard these words. He fell deep into thought. He had not only found Zi Yan, but also the corpse of a heaven demon phoenix in the Black Corner region. Could it be that this heaven demon phoenix's corpse was related to Zi Yan's father? Since Zi Yan's father could become the king of the ancient void dragon tribe, it was likely that his strength was extremely frightening. In that case, where could he have gone running to that even Zi Yan was abandoned by him? The dragon phoenix origin fruit is a mysterious treasure that is extremely unlikely to grow after absorbing the blood of an ancient void dragon and that of a heaven phoenix. This kind of fruit can change the blood of an ancient dragon or heaven phoenix, allowing one's body to possess the specialty of both creatures and gain a true magical beast king bloodline. Elder Zhu Li continued while Xiao Yan was deep in thought. Ever since Zi Yan brought back the dragon phoenix origin fruit, we decided to allow her to inherit the strength after some discussion. One reason is because she has the blood of royalty. Once she enters her matured state, she will become the new queen of the ancient dragons. Thus, it is most suitable for her to possess this bloodline. The second is because she is still young and has the ability to adapt. It will be easier for her to absorb this dragon phoenix origin fruit. Elder Zhu Li involuntarily laughed with a bitter tone when he spoke until this point. He continued, however, the outcome has somewhat exceeded our expectation. The dragon phoenix origin fruit's energy is too powerful. Zi Yan's body is unable to completely absorb this frightening energy. Hence, the energy has started to solidify. Energy solidifying? Xiao Yan was startled when he heard this phrase. What do you mean? Oh, follow me. Elder Zhu Li sighed. He turned around and walked toward a stone hall in the mountain. Xiao Yan hurriedly followed behind him. The couple of them followed behind Zhu Li as they traversed through the stone hall. The few of them finally halted their footsteps deep within the large hall. This large hall was built from a huge rock. In the middle of the large hall was a towering altar. At this moment, a lovely little figure was quietly lying on top of the altar. Xiao Yan glanced over. His eyes focused on that lovely little body. His expression immediately changed. He could see that there was a layer of crystal that appeared like ice, covering every part of the body. If one were to look carefully, one would discover that this was not only the case outside of the body. Even the interior of the body was occupied by this kind of crystal body. In other words, Ziyan had transformed into a crystal body that was without any life. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 373, Chapter 1302, The Ancient Void Dragon Clan that had been split, who? Xiao Yan's eyes solidified on the altar. A long while later, he finally exhaled a deep breath of air. His expression was quite ugly. With his eyesight, he was naturally able to tell that there was no life force on Ziyan's body at this moment. If he wasn't able to sense a little familiar spiritual fluctuation, it was likely that he would have thought that Ziyan had already died. This is the solidifying of energy. Elder Zhu Li beside Xiao Yan also sighed. He said, "The energy of the Dragon Phoenix origin fruit is really too frightening. It solidified and filled every part of Ziyan's body. If Ziyan is unable to absorb this energy, she will forever be in this state like a living dead. All of you are really too reckless." Even though Xiao Yan was aware that the strength of the elder in front of him was extremely terrifying, he still involuntarily yelled with a furious voice. If this matter was not resolved properly, Ziyan would probably lose her life. Elder Zhu Li also bitterly smiled. He shook his head when he heard Xiao Yan's cry. However, he did not say anything. It was likely that he also felt regret. Little brother Xiao Yan, you should also not blame Third Elder. Even the ancient Void Dragon tribe has only come across the Dragon Phoenix origin fruit a couple of times. Hence, we do not really understand it. Such a thing has occurred due to our lack of understanding. He Qing by the side urged. Has the Dragon Phoenix origin fruit been successfully absorbed before? Xiao Yan appeared to have recalled something as he suddenly asked. Yes, however, it has only successfully been absorbed twice. One was obtained by the Heaven Phoenix. Hence, the Heaven Phoenix tribe produced an extremely powerful person. During that period of time, even the ancient Void Dragon tribe was completely suppressed by them. Fortunately, after a couple of 100 years, our ancient Void Dragon tribe finally obtained a Dragon Phoenix origin fruit and managed to turn things around. However, during the final bloody battle between the two tribes, those two experts, who possessed extremely powerful bloodlines, ended up dying together. Elder Zhu Li nodded. He said, ever since that time, the Heaven Phoenix tribe began to gradually disappear. The Dragon Phoenix origin fruit didn't appear again. The old me has seen it for the first time in my life this time around. It has only been successful twice, huh? Xiao Yan knit his brows and immediately sighed. He understood that getting entangled in this matter was really of little use. After which, he asked, how can we rescue Ziyan now? This kind of solidified energy that is formed by the Dragon Phoenix origin fruit is extremely hard. Even the old me is unable to break it. Zhu Li said, moreover, if it was broken, this energy would be wasted. Are you still going to bother with this energy even now? Xiao Yan questioned with a frown. Oh, little friend Xiao Yan, you are unaware of the current situation of my ancient Void Dragon tribe. We are currently in great need of a tribe leader who possesses the royal bloodline and who is able to control the situation. Zhu Li bitterly laughed. What happened? The ancient Void Dragon tribe is powerful. What situation do you face that causes all of you to find it troublesome to deal with? Xiao Yan was also stunned when he understood what Zhu Li was asking in a somewhat surprised voice. Zhu Li hesitated for a moment after hearing this question. A moment later, he finally clenched his teeth and said, little friend Xiao Yan and my ancient Void Dragon tribe have quite a deep relationship. It is fine to tell you, the ancient Dragon Island that you see now is actually not the complete ancient Dragon Island. Instead, it is merely 1/4 of the original ancient Dragon Island. 1/4? Xiao Yan was startled. He reacted quickly. What about the other 3 portions? The ancient Void Dragon tribe was divided into 4 groups not long after Ziyan's father went missing. The ancient Void Dragon Island has also been divided into 4. Each of them are drifting in this empty realm. Zhu Li said, in other words, the ancient void dragon tribe that you see now is actually not whole. Hiss. Xiao Yan involuntarily inhaled a gentle breath of cool air. Just 1/4 of its strength was already this frightening. Was the strength of the ancient void dragon tribe not a little too strong? No wonder they have continued to survive since the ancient times without being destroyed. Every once in a while, the 4 dragon islands will meet in the empty realm. At that time, we will definitely exchange blows. The other 3 islands' chiefs all wish to dominate the ancient void dragon tribe. However, there is little difference in their strength. Hence, the ancient void dragon tribe still remains in a split state after so many years. Zhu Li sighed. The other 3 islands also possess an ancient void dragon with a royal bloodline? Xiao Yan softly asked. This ancient void dragon tribe clearly placed great emphasis on their bloodline. Unless there was some special circumstances, an ordinary ancient void dragon should find it difficult to be in command. They can barely be considered to have it. However, their bloodlines are far from being as pure as Zi Yan's. Zhu Li shook his head and continued, the reason that we are so anxious to have Zi Yan absorb the Dragon Phoenix origin fruit is because we hope she will evolve as quickly as possible and subsequently unite the ancient void dragon tribe the next time the 4 islands meet. No wonder. Xiao Yan also gained a sudden understanding in his heart. No wonder the ancient void dragon has kept such a low profile during these years. It was not because they liked to. Instead, it was because of an internal conflict that caused them to be unable to divert their attention to fight other powerful enemies. This reason is why tribes like the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe and the 9 Serene Deep Ground Python tribe are allowed to rise within the magical beast world. Zhu Li sighed. His tone clearly appeared to have exceptional disdain for the other 2 large tribes. During the ancient times, only the ancestors of these 2 tribes could contend with the ancient dragon tribe. Just what were these descendants who relied on a remnant bloodline supposed to be? It is unexpected that the ancient void dragon tribe still possesses such a secret. However, their ability to keep a secret is really too good. Hardly any factions on the continent were aware of the inner conflict of the ancient void dragon tribe. Xiao Yan quietly smacked his tongue. I hope that little friend Xiao Yan will keep this matter a secret. After all, if it were to spread, it would be difficult to be certain that certain large factions, which have come into conflict with my ancient dragon tribe, will not intervene. Zhu Li spoke with a serious face. Elder Zhu Li, please rest assured that I will not spread this news. Xiao Yan also nodded with a grave expression. He immediately turned to the altar. He said, since Elder Zhu Li has called me here, it is likely that you think that I can be of some help to Zi Yan, right? If I guess correctly, it should be the heavenly flame, no? Xiao Yan admitted to himself that there were only 2 ways he could catch the eyes of the ancient void dragon. One was his alchemist skill while the other was the heavenly flame within his body. Although Xiao Yan had advanced to a Tier 8 alchemist guru, there were definitely better alchemists than him within the Central Plains. Since that was the case, there was only one final possibility, the heavenly flames. KK, you are indeed worthy of being Xiao Zan's descendant. Zhu Li laughed and nodded. He said, the energy crystal layer that is formed by the Dragon Phoenix origin fruit is extremely hard. Even I am unable to break it. Hence, if one wishes to melt the crystal layer and force this energy into Zi Yan's body, one can only rely on the strength of a heavenly flame. However, an ordinary heavenly flame is of little use against this kind of energy crystal. Only a heavenly flame that is ranked among the top 10 on the heavenly flame ranking can suffice. Moreover, little friend Xiao Yan possesses many types of heavenly flames and is able to merge them together. Their might is definitely comparable to a heavenly flame at the 6th or 7th rank. It is not impossible to use it to deal with this energy crystal. The old me is also aware that some experts on the Central Plains possess a heavenly flame. However, only little friend Xiao Yan is someone who possesses such an ability and is trustworthy. Therefore, we got He Qing to hurry and invite you over. Zhu Li smiled as he explained the situation. Xiao Yan only came to a sudden understanding upon hearing this. Immediately, he pondered the problem. It was not a problem if it merely required a heavenly flame that was ranked among the top 10. After all, just the 3,000 burning flame alone had reached this requirement, but there was no need to even mention it after the other 3 types of heavenly flame were merged with it. This matter is related to whether the ancient void dragon can survive in the future. It is of great importance. Therefore, I hope that little friend Xiao Yan will do his best to help. Zhu Li cupped his hands to Xiao Yan in a solemn manner as he spoke in a deep voice. He Qing behind him also cupped his hands and bowed. Elder Zhu Li, please rest assured. Zi Yan is my friend. I, Xiao Yan, will definitely do my best to help. I will listen to Elder regarding how to carry this out. All you need to do is instruct me wherever you need my help. Xiao Yan replied with a serious expression. There was a greater smile on Elder Zhu Li's face when he heard Xiao Yan speak. He sighed. If Xiao Zhan was aware that the Xiao clan could produce such an outstanding clan member after him, it is likely that he would be laughing even in the netherworld. I think that Xiao Zhan is unable to compare with this descendant of his. Back then, he had used the bloodline of the Xiao clan to its limits in order to reach that height. However, the clan members after him ended up with a completely wasted bloodline. On the other hand, the current Xiao Yan has reached this height by relying on himself. If he is given sufficient time, it will not be impossible to surpass Xiao Zhan. He Qing laughed. Zhu Li also smiled and nodded when he heard this. He glanced at Xiao Yan before speaking. You should not blame Xiao Zhan for completely exhausting the remaining bloodline of the Xiao clan. Back then, he wanted to stake everything. If he could break through the Dou Shen class, the bloodline strength of the Xiao clan would continue. The Xiao clan would also become an ancient clan like the Jiyu clan. Unfortunately, he had underestimated the difficulty of breaking through the Dou Shen class. Finally, he ended up dying full of anger and regret. Xiao Yan might be at a loss when he heard the conversation between the two. However, he vaguely sensed the desperation, pain, and regret that the ancestor had faced back then. The ancestor also did it all for the descendants of the Xiao clan. Xiao Yan curled his mouth. Although he had never met Xiao Zhan, Xiao Yan's heart felt some respect for that ancestor. KK. Let's not talk about this. Little friend Xiao Yan, you should rest for 2 days. The old me has to prepare some things beforehand. We'll act once everything is prepared. Zhu Li also ceased discussing the past. He changed the topic and smiled as he spoke. Yes. Xiao Yan nodded his head. He turned to the small lovely figure that was quietly lying on the altar. His fists tightened as he softly muttered, Zi Yan, you can rest assured that I will rescue you. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 374. Chapter 1303. Begin. Xiao Yan and Qing Lin remained on the ancient Dragon Island during the next 2 days. Elder Zhu Li hurried to prepare the things needed to refine the energy crystal on Zi Yan. It was fortunate that he had instructed He Qing to entertain the 2 guests while he was busy. Hence, 2 days swiftly flowed by while waiting in leisure. On the 3rd morning, Elder Zhu Li finally appeared in front of Xiao Yan with a solemn face. Seeing this, Xiao Yan understood that today was likely the day that they would begin. Little friend Xiao Yan, please follow the old me. Zhu Li informed Xiao Yan before turning around and leading the way at the front. Xiao Yan swiftly followed behind. Xiao Yan followed Zhu Li as he flew to the deepest part of the Dragon Island. He discovered that the atmosphere of the Dragon Island appeared much more solemn today. The usually empty sky occasionally had 1 or 2 figures flying past. Their eyes were cautiously sweeping outside of the empty realm. Although we have done a good job of keeping this a secret, Zi Yan is really too important to the ancient dragon clan. Therefore, nothing must go wrong. Hence, the defenses of the Dragon Island have reached a high point. Xiao Yan only came to an understanding after hearing Zhu Li explain why along the way. Xiao Yan could acutely sense that the energy around them had become hotter while he flew toward the deepest part of the Dragon Island. This place actually has a volcano. Surprise flashed across Xiao Yan's eyes as he sensed it in detail. The ancient void dragon really acted in a grand manner. It was unexpected that they built a genuine volcano on the island. After flying for 10 minutes, Elder Zhu Li slowly reduced his speed. Xiao Yan followed him and looked ahead. He could see a large mountain ahead. The mountain peak exhibited a concave shape where white, hot smoke curled and rose. Kai, a black figure suddenly hurried over from the distance when Xiao Yan and Zhu Li arrived in this part of the sky. After which, the figure appeared in front of Xiao Yan's group. You, Tai Jian Zun Jie, why are you here? Xiao Yan initially gave a random glance at this human figure. Unexpectedly, his glance stilled on this figure. He cried out in disbelief. The human figure in front was wearing a black robe. He carried a metal sword on his back. His appearance was that of Tai Jian Jie, who had accompanied Xiao Yan's group to rescue Yao Lao back then. However, Tai Jian Jie had remained behind to block the black-white Tianjun back then. Originally, Xiao Yan had thought that he was gone, but he ended up unexpectedly meeting him again. Haha, Elder Zhu Li laughed when he saw Xiao Yan's expression. Tai Jian Jie's face also moved a little as he appeared to smile. Could that mysterious expert back then be Elder Zhu Li? Xiao Yan's eyes were unfocused as he asked Zhu Li with surprise. I quietly followed Zi Yan after she had left. She is far too important to our ancient Void Dragon clan. How could I allow her to randomly barge around alone? Elder Zhu Li fondled his beard and laughed. Back then, I had only helped her stabilize the spatial crack and did not do anything else to help. As for Tai Jian, the old me does admire this character of his. Therefore, I rescued him from the hands of the Hall of Souls after you left. It is unexpected that the little me has unknowingly received a favor from Elder Zhu Li. Xiao Yan bitterly laughed. It is merely a small matter. Elder Zhu Li randomly waved his hand. After which, his eyes landed on Tai Jian Jie as he asked, "Is everything prepared?" Tai Jian Jie tilted his head in agreement. Elder Zhu Li also nodded when he saw Tai Jian Jie's response. He waved his hand at Xiao Yan, and his body slowly drifted forward. Finally, he was suspended above the mountain that was emitting a smoke pillar. Xiao Yan followed close behind. His eyes glanced down, only to discover that there was an enormous emerald-green cauldron suspended above the mouth of the volcano. It was possible to see a small lovely figure suspended within it. That figure was Zi Yan. Little friend Xiao Yan, the fire affinity energy of this place is extremely rich. The might of the heavenly flame will be strengthened by using the heavenly flame here. Elder Zhu Li pointed at the large cauldron. His expression was a little grave as he said, however, the heavenly flame is too overbearing. Hence, there is a need for extremely outstanding control in order to refine the energy crystal without burning Zi Yan. With little friend Xiao Yan's current ability, I think that you should be able to achieve this, right? Xiao Yan nodded. He had already reached the pinnacle when it came to the control of a flame. Hence, it was not difficult for him. Elder Zhu Li also sighed in relief when he saw Xiao Yan nod. His finger pointed to the surrounding mountains as he said, "During this period of time, the ancient Void Dragon Tribe's experts and the old me will personally remain around here. We will definitely not allow anything to disturb you." Xiao Yan's eyes followed the direction Elder Zhu Li pointed. With his outstanding perception, he could indeed sense quite a number of extremely powerful auras hidden within the surrounding mountains. Additionally, refining the Dragon Phoenix Crystal will not be easy. This will be a task that exhausts a great amount of time. It will also exhaust Do Qi at an extremely frightening rate. Elder Zhu Li clenched his hand after he spoke. A dense white jade bottle appeared in his hand. He fondled it a little before handing it to Xiao Yan and continued with, "There are 5 drops of ancient dragon essence blood that the old me has personally refined in that bottle. They possess an extremely great amount of energy. Not only will they allow one to instantly recover a great amount of Do Qi, but they also possess the mysterious effect of tempering one's veins and bones. You can consume 1 drop when the Do Qi within your body is unable to keep up during the refinement." Xiao Yan carefully received the jade bottle. He sensed the vast and mighty energy that radiated out of it. Even with his eyesight and experience, a glint of shock still involuntarily appeared in his eyes. He naturally understood how precious the ancient dragon essence blood was. These 5 drops of refined essence blood would cause elite experts to fight in the outside world. After all, these things were not only able to swiftly recover one's exhausted Do Qi, they were also able to temper one's body, enabling one to be comparable to that of some magical beasts. This matter is of great importance and it is unwise of me to boast. Although this ancient dragon essence blood is precious, the little me shall temporarily accept it. Xiao Yan did not put up an act at this moment. He immediately cupped his hands together and inhaled a deep breath of air. His body flashed, transforming into a ray of light that appeared in the sky above the volcano. He sat in the sky beside the large cauldron. Elder Zhu Li's expression gradually became serious when he saw that Xiao Yan was preparing to begin. He muttered, "The subsequent matters will depend on you." Xiao Yan sat in front of the enormous cauldron. His eyes were grave as he observed the lovely little figure within the cauldron. He inhaled a couple of breaths and slowly opened his mouth after his heart had completely calmed down. Bang! After Xiao Yan opened his mouth, a purple-brown fire pillar that contained a dense whiteness was spat out. It soared with the wind and turned into a monstrous flame, which poured into the enormous cauldron. With the appearance of the heavenly flame, the temperature quickly rose. Some of the towering trees in the mountain forest began to shed some leaves at this moment. The flame whistled into the enormous cauldron and gathered together under Xiao Yan's nearly flawless control. Within a short moment, a huge fire dragon was formed within the enormous cauldron. Roar! The fire dragon roared at the sky when it formed. That roar shook the enormous cauldron until it trembled. Refine! Xiao Yan's hand seal suddenly changed outside of the enormous cauldron. A soft cry was emitted from his mouth. Following the appearance of this cry, the enormous fire dragon charged toward Ziyan, who was sleeping with her eyes shut. When it was about to collide with her body, it swiftly turned and curled up. It used its body to wrap around her. At the same time, the temperature within the large cauldron suddenly rose to a frightening extent. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. When the temperature suddenly rose, numerous rays of light rushed out from all over the Dragon Island. After which, they stopped above the surrounding mountains with solemn expressions. These were the tribe members of the ancient Void Dragon tribe. They appeared to be aware of the matter today. Hence, none of them made any noise. They were worried of disturbing Xiao Yan's focus. Xiao Yan did not have the time to worry about these surrounding observers. At this moment, all of his attention had gathered inside the large cauldron. The spiritual strength between his brows surged out in all directions to control the temperature of the flame. The flame within the large cauldron fiercely burned. Although the flame blocked their eyes, the scene within was still clearly absorbed into the minds of Elder Zhu Li and the other experts. The fire dragon curled and entrenched itself. Numerous extremely hot fire pillars continuously shot from its large mouth. They lingered around Ziyan's body within the large cauldron. Following the erosion by such a frightening temperature, the dragon phoenix crystal on Ziyan's body emitted a faint but unusual glow. Light flickered over the crystal layer. It appeared like a flowing body that emitted wave after wave of frightening energy, which caused one's heart to be frightened. Heavenly flames continuously spat on Ziyan's body. However, the dragon phoenix crystal did not show any signs of changing. Nevertheless, Xiao Yan did not panic a little. If it was so easy to melt this thing, Elder Zhu Li would not have invited him to act. Xiao Yan's expression was indifferent. His eyes were slowly shut as a mysterious flame gently flickered within them. There was nothing that cannot be incinerated by a heavenly flame. This was the case for everything, including this dragon phoenix crystal. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 375. Chapter 1304. Refining the dragon phoenix crystal layer. The sky was dry and hot. It was as though all the moisture in had been vaporized in an instant. The entire mountain appeared to be lethargic under this high temperature. Even the lush green color that filled the area had become much dimmer. No one paid any attention to the changes of the surroundings. At this moment, everyone's eyes were focused on the enormous cauldron at the mouth of the volcano. A skinny figure was seated in front of the large cauldron in front of many eyes. Following the change in the seal formed by his hands, it appeared as though the temperature was controlled by him. The temperature was occasionally high and occasionally low. An ordinary person would have difficulty enduring such a drastic change in temperature. Elder Zhu Li was suspended in the sky. Both of his hands were placed behind him. His eyes were focused on the large cauldron, and his expression was completely solemn. Zhu Li, do you really think that he can refine the dragon phoenix crystal? An elderly voice suddenly sounded from behind. Elder Zhu Li tilted his head, only to see an old man with black and white hair standing behind him. This elder was dressed simply. His quietness and lack of a smile caused him to appear exceptionally stern. There is definitely some desirable aspects in him to be able to become the champion of the pill gathering. Although he is young, he appears extremely experienced from what I've learned about him during these 2 days. He has great perseverance and is unlike any young person his age. Elder Zhu Li's eyes returned to the skinny figure in front of the large cauldron as he replied. You should be aware just what Ziyan means to our eastern Dragon Island. The stern and quiet elder was silent for a moment before speaking again. Elder Qi Yu, there is no need to be overly worried. Although Xiao Yan is not the only one on the continent who possesses a heavenly flame ranked in the top 10, the current condition of our ancient void dragon tribe is not suitable to invite those fellows to come and help us. Elder Zhu Li shook his head and softly said, also, Zi Yan asked that Xiao Yan be brought to help before she fell unconscious. Although this girl is young, she will not joke with her own life. Since she is able to say this, it is likely that she is very confident in Xiao Yan. Hopefully, Zi Yan is currently the only person within the ancient void dragon tribe to possess a complete royal bloodline. If anything happens to her, it is likely that our ancient void dragon tribe will never be able to unite again. That old man called Qi Yu nodded. He said, plus, the first elder and the second elder are all undertaking a complete retreat. No one knows just when they will come out. Without the two of them, our eastern dragon island does not have an advantage among the 4 islands in terms of strength. Zhu Li softly sighed. He said, it is pointless to think about this now. We should wait for the refinement to complete first. Additionally, the caution level must remain high. If the other 3 islands were to gain news, one cannot guarantee that they will not dispatch some experts over to probe. Those 3 islands' chiefs are all people with great ambition. They will definitely not allow someone with a true royal bloodline to appear. Otherwise, even if they could endure the pressure from the royal bloodline, the other tribe members will be completely united under the royal bloodline. Qi Yu quietly nodded. He gave Xiao Yan, who still seated in front of the large cauldron, a deep look. His body moved and slowly disappeared. At the same time, quite a number of auras from the hidden experts started disappearing. Zhu Li turned back to Xiao Yan after Qi Yu disappeared. He softly said, Xiao Yan, the fate of the future ancient void dragon tribe will be determined by you. Xiao Yan, who was beside the cauldron at the mouth of the volcano, appeared to hear Zhu Li's mutter. His eyebrows trembled and an unusually searing hot air was slowly spat out of his throat. Coagulate. A soft voice was emitted from his throat along with his breath. The fire dragon within the large cauldron shook. It began to tremble. Everyone saw that the color of the fire dragon was beginning to turn from a whitish purple-brown into a mysterious dark purple. Roar! The fire dragon, which had transformed into a dark purple color, had also shrunk in size. However, the flame temperature within its body had suddenly soared. The frightening temperature was caused some members of the ancient void dragon tribe to change their facial expressions. Kai! A dark purple flame was continuously spat from the large mouth of the fire dragon. It ruthlessly adhered to the dragon phoenix crystal on Zi Yan's body. The two made contact and waves of sizzling sounds immediately erupted. Under this kind of intense collision, that incomparably hard energy crystal finally revealed a drop of purple gold liquid in front of many joyous eyes. The dragon phoenix crystal has started to melt. Although that drop of purple gold liquid was extremely tiny, it still did not escape the experienced eyes of the many experts. Numerous suppressed voices of joy rang out. Who? Elder Zhu Li also quietly sighed in relief at this moment. His tightly clenched fists were slowly relaxed. Although this was only the first step, it at the very least indicated that Xiao Yan's heavenly flame was able to melt the dragon phoenix crystal. This beginning was already quite a joyous one. Subsequently, as long as Xiao Yan was able to endure, he would sooner or later completely melt the entire dragon phoenix crystal. Of course, Elder Zhu Li also understood that attempting to melt the dragon phoenix crystal would require a lot of time. However, one must eat things a mouthful at a time. No one could expect something like this to succeed immediately. With a good beginning, all they needed to do was wait quietly until the dragon phoenix crystal completely melted. 10 days flew by in the blink of an eye amid the wait. Xiao Yan did not rest even a little. During these 10 days, the dou qi within his body had been completely exhausted twice, but he did not use the ancient dragon essence blood that Elder Zhu Li had given him during these 2 instances. Instead, he relied on the flame mantra, which had evolved to the quasi-Tien class qi method, to forcefully absorb the surrounding energy. Although this kind of absorption could not be compared with the rate at which his dou qi was exhausted, he was still able to endure by relying on some other dou qi recovery pills. During the 10 days, the dou qi within his body did not cease circulating for even a moment. This kind of determination caused even some tribe members of the ancient void dragon tribe to involuntarily feel some admiration. However, it was obvious that this could not continue on by simply relying on ordinary methods. Hence, on the 15th day, Xiao Yan was unable to endure this kind of exhaustion. Only then did he take out a drop of the ancient dragon essence blood that Elder Zhu Li had given him and swallowed it. Bang! A bright golden light was immediately emitted from Xiao Yan's skin when the ancient dragon essence blood entered his body. A vast and mighty energy swept through his body like a storm. His originally exhausted veins once again rapidly filled with a gushing amount of dou qi in an instant. When this kind of energy storm streaked through, Xiao Yan could sense that his bones, muscles and veins were vaguely emitting a kind of unusual itchiness and soreness. Under this kind of feeling, it appeared as though his bones, muscles, etc. were all slowly becoming firmer and more powerful. Some marvel involuntarily appeared in Xiao Yan's heart when he sensed the changes within his body. This kind of energy could basically be compared with some high-tier medicinal pills. The ancient void dragon was indeed worthy of being in existence at the peak of the magical beast world. Just the strength of this essence blood possessed such a mysterious effect. Since this is the case, let's continue. Xiao Yan tightened his hand. His somewhat tired face revealed a faint smile. His eyes focused on the interior of the large cauldron. The dragon phoenix crystal on the surface of Zi Yan's body appeared to have completely vanished, but its disappearance did not represent the end because the interior of Zi Yan's body was still occupied by the solidified dragon phoenix crystal. Only after refining each crystal layer would Zi Yan be able to awaken. After continuing the refinement, 1 month swiftly flowed by like sand between one's fingers. During this 1 month, all the tribe members of the ancient void dragon tribe were pleasantly surprised to see the dragon phoenix crystal on Zi Yan's body become thinner. In the end, it completely vanished. With this pleasant change, a joyous atmosphere began to spread across the ancient dragon island. According to this speed, it was likely that the dragon phoenix crystal layers within Zi Yan's body would be refined soon. At that time, an existence that possessed the true royal bloodline of the magical beast world would be born once again. A figure was seated in a haggard fashion in front of the enormous cauldron. By looking through the air around the figure, one could see a pair of eyes filled with traces of blood. Those eyes contained a tiredness and a frightening tenacity. Numerous gazes from around the mountain contained some respect as they focused on the skinny figure. During this 1 month, this figure had revealed a shocking perseverance that subdued the many naturally haughty ancient void dragon tribe members. Zhu Li slowly fondled his beard as he studied the back of the figure. The figure was still able to control the heavenly flame within the cauldron with great familiarity despite not having slept for a month. A moment later, Zhu Li softly sighed. There was a hint of envy in his voice. Elder Zhu Li was just about to open his mouth to issue an instruction after sighing when a furious cry suddenly resounded over this empty realm in a thunderbolt-like fashion. "Xiao, all of you are very bold. You actually dare to barge into my eastern dragon island." Zhu Li's expression turned gloomy upon hearing this furious cry. He slowly raised his head and looked toward the empty space outside. "Are they finally here? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible." Continuing from the previous episode 376. Chapter 1305. Chaos. Numerous rays of light suddenly appeared in the empty space. A moment later, rays of light slowly descended to the ancient dragon island. The light scattered and numerous figures with powerful auras appeared. Most of these figures were wearing dark golden armor. There was a dragon image on their armor. The dragon seemed to vaguely be moving, appearing as though it was alive. It even appeared to be emitting wave after wave of a powerful dragon pressure. Other than these people wearing dark golden armor, there were some human figures with naked upper bodies. These people appeared quite large and strong. They had an awe-inspiring visual impact. It's the people from the Western Dragon Island and the Southern Dragon Island. Numerous voices that contained some anger immediately reverberated around the ancient Dragon Island when they saw these human figures. "Xiao, you actually dare to lead people to my Eastern Dragon Island? What great ability!" The space in the sky became distorted. Numerous figures appeared. The old man leading them was Elder Chi Yu, who had chatted with Elder Zhu Li back then. At this moment, his usually impassive face had become extremely stern. A mighty feeling without anger was vaguely emitted from him. "Ha ha, old fellow Chi Yu, you should not vent your anger on me. I am only here on orders to invite the great person with the royal bloodline back to the Western Dragon Island. A large man with thick eyebrows wearing a dark golden armor slowly took 2 steps forward. When he stepped forward, empty space appeared to tremble. He glanced at Qi Yu, who was within a defensive barrier, and loudly laughed. I'm afraid that the Western Dragon King wishes to imprison the royal bloodline on the Western Dragon Island, no? HMPH, he is merely a branch of the royal bloodline, yet he dares to call himself a Dragon King. Isn't he afraid of killing himself? Qi Yu coldly laughed. The large man called Sha Ao faintly said, the current ancient dragon tribe has split into 4. Regardless of the reason, the Western Dragon King possesses a royal bloodline. He has a stronger gathering ability than you people with ordinary bloodlines. If one were to talk about it, your Eastern Dragon Island is the one that should not exist. Among the 4 islands, only your island is not led by someone with a royal bloodline. This kind of existence will not be accepted. It is not up to the other 3 Dragon Kings to decide what is acceptable or not. The ancient Void Dragon tribe does not have whatever North, South, East or West Dragon Kings. It only has the former Dragon Emperor. The remainder do not possess any qualification to implement any tribe rules. Qi Yu raised his eyebrows as he replied. He, I am also too lazy to utter any nonsense to you, old fellow. This time around, I have come under orders. Please hand over the great person who possesses a royal bloodline. Otherwise, this matter will really likely not end well. Sha Ao curled his mouth as he made a demand. Because of you? Qi Yu's expression turned cold. He clenched his fist and a frightening energy hurriedly gathered. Qi Yu, in terms of combat strength, your Eastern Dragon Island is the weakest among the 4 islands. If my Western Dragon Island's Dragon Armor Army were to invade, this Eastern Dragon Island would not be able to endure for long. Sha Ao waved his hand when he saw that Qi Yu was preparing to fight. The dark golden human figures behind him slowly stepped forward. A powerful pressure gathered and spread toward the Dragon Island. When this pressure spread, the expression of Elder Zhu Li, who was deep within the Dragon Island, slowly became gloomy. He looked at Xiao Yan, who was still seated in front of the large cauldron. He said in a deep voice, all of you should protect Mr. Xiao Yan properly. Do not allow any accidents to occur to him. Understood. Some low and deep cries were emitted from the surrounding mountains when Elder Zhu Li's voice sounded. Zhu Li only nodded upon hearing their replies. His body moved and disappeared in a strange manner. The next time he appeared, he was already in front of Qi Yu's body. He lifted his head and swept his calm eyes over the human figures suspended in empty space. It paused on the group of large human figures with naked upper bodies. The Dragon Armor Army from the Western Dragon Island and the Barbarian Dragon Army from the Southern Dragon Island. The elite fighters of these 2 islands have been dispatched. May I know who is the commander of the Barbarian Dragon Army? Ha, you are indeed worthy of being Elder Zhu Li. The old me is still discovered by you even though I am hiding by the side. The empty space slowly became distorted after Elder Zhu Li's voice sounded. A pale-skinned elder wearing simple skin clothes appeared from nowhere and laughed at Elder Zhu Li within the Dragon Island. It is actually Elder Man Yan. Elder Zhu Li glanced at this elder. His voice did not contain too much fluctuation as he indifferently spoke. Elder Zhu Li, hand the person over. We have come under orders. The ancient Void Dragon tribe has already become like this. I think that it will be extremely difficult to unite the tribe again. The 3 great Dragon Kings will not allow such a thing to happen. Man Yan sighed. He looked at Zhu Li before speaking in a deep voice. What nonsense. Hand over? Do you really think that my Eastern Dragon Island can be bullied? If the first elder and second elder weren't both undertaking a deep retreat, would the 3 islands dare to come to my Eastern Dragon Island to act arrogantly? A figure suddenly rushed to the sky. He cried out loud without being afraid of the pressure that spread from the many experts from the Western Dragon Island. Hey Qing, you still possess this terrible temper that asks to be beaten up. Sha Ao glanced at He Qing. After which, he turned to Man Yan and said, we do not have much time to waste. Let's attack. After his words sounded, the dark golden dragon armor on Sha Ao's body suddenly emitted a bright golden light. A monstrous aura swept out of their bodies like a storm. A deep dragon roar was faintly emitted from the golden light. Dragon Armor Army, attack. Bring back the great person who possesses the royal bloodline. Sha Ao suddenly waved his hand. The many figures wearing dragon armor all let out a stern cry in unison. Fierce auras surged out. They transformed into numerous rays of light that charged explosively into the ancient dragon island. "Oh, let's attack." Man Yan sighed and gave a command when he saw them attack. The human figures with naked upper bodies nodded when they heard his order. Their arms rapidly shook when they clenched their fists. In the blink of an eye, their two arms transformed into dragon claws that were covered with pale purple scales. Their bodies flashed and charged into the ancient dragon island. "Stop them!" Elder Zhu Li cried out in a deep voice. His face turned gloomy when he saw the many figures charging into the dragon island. Understood. Numerous blurry figures suddenly charged over from the ancient dragon island after Elder Zhu Li's voice sounded. In an instant, vast and mighty auras swept over the sky. The muffled sound of flesh colliding violently with other flesh and the loud explosions of energy resonated across the sky. Bang! He Qing, who wore a gloomy expression, violently punched a person with a naked upper body whose hands had turned into dragon claws. The person spat out blood and withdrew. Before he could once again charge forward, Elder Zhu Li had appeared in front of him. "He Qing, go and protect Xiao Yan. Do not allow any accidents to happen to him. Leave this place to me." Elder Zhu Li spoke in a deep voice. Although He Qing was a little unwilling to leave the battlefield, he also understood Xiao Yan's importance at this moment. At that moment, he could only clench his teeth. His body pulled back with lightning-like speed. Within a couple of flashes, he entered the deepest part of the ancient dragon island. "Zhu Li, allow the old me to be your opponent." After dispatching He Qing to protect Xiao Yan, Elder Zhu Li's eyes focused on the space in front of him. The grayish-white-skinned Man Yan was slowly appearing at that spot. At this moment, his body was beginning to form some purple dragon scales. His hands had also become sharp dragon claws. Man Yan had turned into a half-human half-dragon with a dragon body, dragon claws, and dragon arms. An extremely monstrous aura slowly spread from Man Yan's body after the transformation was complete. Even the surrounding space had become extremely distorted as a result. "We have not met for many years. I wonder if the current you have broken through the Do Zoom class." Man Yan's eyes also revealed a dark purple color because of the transformation of his body. He smiled at Zhu Li and his feet gently pressed down. An intense fluctuation suddenly appeared. His body was like lightning as it appeared in front of Elder Zhu Li in an instant. He waved a dragon claw and a frightening energy followed. Bang bang bang! The entire ancient dragon island erupted with earth-shaking sounds. Numerous battlegrounds appeared in the sky above the dragon island. The originally calm and quiet atmosphere no longer existed at this moment. Two of the dragon islands had dispatched their elite forces. This fighting strength could wash any top-tier faction in the Central Plains with blood. In the face of this sudden sneak attack, the eastern dragon island was initially caught off guard. Fortunately, it possessed quite a number of experts. After experiencing the initial chaos, the battle was finally stabilized. While the dragon island had descended into an intense fight, the deepest part of the dragon island still maintained a peacefulness. A frightening temperature still spread over the mouth of the volcano. Within the large cauldron, Ziyan's body, which was originally hard, slowly regained its softness. One could vaguely sense a terrifying ocean-like energy flowing within her body. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. He Qing's expression was solemn as he stared at the interior of the large cauldron from the air. Suddenly a wave of rushing wind sounds were transmitted from the distance. This caused his expression to change a little. He turned his head, only to see 10 exceptionally fierce auras rushing over with lightning-like speed. "Stop them! Do not allow them to disturb Xiao Yan!" He Qing coldly cried out when he saw these fellows barging over. "Chi chi!" He Qing's cry had just sounded when numerous human figures quickly rushed forward and stopped the human figures in the distance. A big battle erupted immediately upon contact. Although those who had come were blocked, He Qing's expression remained quite ugly. He understood that the last northern dragon island would definitely not sit back and do nothing since the western and southern islands had received word. With the strength that the eastern dragon island currently possessed, stopping an attack by these two islands was already extremely difficult. If the northern dragon island were to intervene, it would really be dangerous. He Qing clenched his fist as his eyes focused intently on the skinny young man seated in front of the huge cauldron. He muttered, "Xiao Yan, be quicker. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible."